Well, howdy, physics sleuths and inquisitive souls, and welcome again to another Sermon of Sean. So, today we are going to talk about Wormwood. Okay? Um, there's a lot of confusion about what Wormwood is, like in the Bible, and it's kind of important because Wormwood is what's actually going to kill the most people. Um, Not the initial blast. The initial blast, and I'm going to probably make a video about this soon. All of the trumpets and the seals and the bowls and how they all fit together and what the Bible is actually saying about what's actually going down, like timeline wise, what's happening. Okay. um, but yeah, the initial blast, I think the Bible says pretty much like a third of the people die initially from the blast. Like, a third of all the ships and a third of, people in this and that burning from all the cities from Putin's nukes when they go off next year. But then after that, well, let's just dig into it, shall we? Well, let's just dib it do and see what it dib it don't. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's the way it comes down to. You got to pit up, shush up. That's just the way it's got to be. So let's just start pitting up, shall we? Okay. So, always the King James. Always the King James. Um, so the word wormwood is listed in the Bible a few different times. Like I think it's like I don't know 8, 9 times throughout all of the Old Testament and New Testament. Okay, and pretty much almost every time the word wormwood is referencing bitterness. Is what it's a lot of times it's like eating something really bitter. Okay, and I'm going to explain why this is. All right, but as often when God's involved, usually there's multiple levels to the same thing, making it serve multiple purposes at the same time. So while the word wormwood, yes, does mean bitterness, it can also mean something else, which we're going to dig into here also as well. But I just want you to know, when it's listed, but her end is bitter as wormwood, meaning, yeah, bitter. So the word bitter and wormwood synonymous according to the Old Testament in a lot of ways. Okay. Here's Deuteronomy. Lest there should be among you a man or woman or family or tribe whose heart turneth away from that day our Lord or God to go and serve the gods of these nations. And lest there be among you the root beareth gall and wormwood. Okay. Gall is referred to basically kind of like as toxic water, poisonous water. It also can refer to, I think, some treatment, an ailment of some plant that would, have some pain reducing effect or something. So I guess maybe people would mix it up in a drink, but it probably, if you drink too much, would be toxic and do hurt you more than serve its purpose, which would be to alleviate whatever symptoms. I'm assuming not. I haven't done a deep dive into gall, but it's not really that important. We're talking about wormwood, all right? But a lot of times gall and wormwood are mentioned together. Okay. Now, and just so you know, like if we go to another version of the Bible, like say the what's like a new standard revised? What's the new one? New American? Is that one? No, they still have it. A lot of Bibles take the translation of wormwood out and replace it with something else. Yeah, there we go. See, like this is the international standard version. They don't say wormwood. They just say poisonous and bitter fruit. The poisonous refers to gall, and the bitter refers to wormwood. But wormwood isn't even a bitter fruit. Okay, it can't. We're gonna go into it. Don't worry. Just know it. Always a King James. Always King James. Never go with anything past the age of feminism back in like 1910. Sus. I wouldn't trust it. All right. So see Jeremiah, and take the heads of the waters of mine eyes of fountain tears, and I weep day and night for the slain daughters of my people. Oh, in the wilderness lodging in a place wayfaring man, so many treacherous men. Okay, now and this thing, God is talking about a lot of things. Okay, He's talking about punishing his people, the Jews, for not following him, I guess, as much as he wants, or I don't know the specifics of it, but he's not happy with the Jews this time. And this is when he's talking about punishing them and scattering them among the the heathens, the normal, the non-Jews all around the world, and then eventually World War II will force them back through the genocide of the Jews. All right, but this could also refer to something else, because if we keep reading this, like it goes on and on. Like here, like therefore, thus say the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will feed them, even these people, with wormwood, and give their water gall to drink. Okay, so once again, the gall is in there and the wormwood. All right, but as he keeps going on and on, he's saying a lot of things which can also be interpreted as this will, like right here, okay? Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will punish all of them which are circumcised with the uncircumcised. Okay? So this is kind of like a reference to I will punish my people, the Jews, that have a covenant with me and are circumcised, and the people that don't have that covenant with me that are uncircumcised. So everybody is punished, not just my people. So it's funny how he's talking about at first he's talking about scattering his people, but now he's talking about punishing the entire planet, everybody, okay? For all the nations are uncircumcised, and all the house of Israel are uncircumcised in the heart, all right? So he's talking about everybody at this point. So when he says wormwood, notice how he says with wormwood and give them the water of gall. So the wormwood is somehow linked to water of gall. Weird, right? We're going to go into this. All right. And probably the final time that we're going to look into in the Bible when wormwood is mentioned is in Revelations. All right. So the second angel sounded his trumpet, something like a huge mountain ablaze. I'm going to go into all this in another video. Blah, blah, blah. A third of the living creatures and the sea died. A third of the ships were destroyed. All the ships are at ports by all the major cities that got hit by nukes, wiped out. It's basically what it's saying. It's not saying that God's going through the ocean meticulously wiping out a third of the ships that he sees. He's saying that there's going to be a lot of ships at port at these major cities that are going to eat nukes. And those ships, dunsies, just like the city, dunsies. And as the math works out, all the ships are going to be destroyed at these major ports and cities. Turns out to be about a third of all ships entirely, because that's about how many are at port any given day, A lot of ships go through the ports every day, okay? And then the third angel sounded his trumpet with a great star, and a great star, blazing like a torch, fell from the sky on a third of the rivers and the springs of the water. Okay? And the name of the star was Wormwood. A third of the waters turned bitter, and many people died from the waters that had become bitter. Okay? So, what this is saying, and a third of the rivers and the springs name the star. I'm pretty sure it said on the third day, too, the star of Wormwood will fall. I'm pretty sure it says this. I don't know if it's on this translation, but I know it definitely says that on the third day after the nukes is when Wormwood will fall. All right, the star Wormwood will fall, and it contaminates all the fresh waters, all the springs, all the rivers. Or my bad, it fell on a third of the rivers and a third of the springs, and contaminate the water. So if you drink it, you die. Okay? Just to give you a clue what it is, but we're going to get there. All right? So we go into popular Christian theory. What is wormwood? This star or angel that's going to fall and poison the water and kill a third of people, right? The ideal of connecting the interstellar comet throughout Atlas, the biblical concept of wormwood from the book of Revelations involves blending scientific observation, speculation, and theological interpretation. So there's a significant, I'm not gonna say a lot, but a significant amount of Christians who believe that like wormwood is going to be a comet, okay, that's going to come from heaven, some space, and hit the earth and fall from heaven and land on the earth, and it's going to have radiation, whatever, contaminate the whole planet with its poison toxicity. Okay, that's the way a lot of people interpret wormwood. Okay, when they hear it, they think it's an actual thing that's going to fall like a comet. This is not so much true though, right? If we go into wormwood, the definition as the Bible goes, wormwood, ancient Greek, blah blah blah, is prophesied a star or angel which appears in the book of Revelations. Okay, wormwood is translated and believed to refer to the plant genus Artesman, likely Ether absinthe or Herbia. Morphe. Okay, so there's different meanings they have for wormwood depending on what your source is. Okay, at least they're explaining that. That's good. Okay, so it's mentioned 7 times in the Hebrew Bible. Twice as a proper noun. Very interesting. Okay. And then the third angel blew his trumpet, blah, blah, third river started where people died because it was bitter. We just went over that. Interpretations. A number of biblical scholars believe that the term wormwood is purely symbolic representation of the bitterness that will fill the earth during troubled times, noting that a plant for which wormwood is named, Artisma arsum, or mugwort, Artisma bloris, is known biblical metaphor for these things are unpalatably bitter. Okay? So there's a lot of people, they have no clue what wormwood means. They just know something bitter, so bitter it kills a bunch of people, blah blah blah. That's all they're going into with this. All right. And if we look at the actual plant wormwood, it is used because it's so bitter. Parasites hate it, so if you eat it, even though it's bitter to you, it will cleanse your body of some parasites. Okay, it does have uses. All right. Wormwood's relative mugwort traditionally used remedy various complaints, especially those of gynecological nature. And wormwood's genus bears a name, Greek goddess of childbirth, Artemis. All right. So there is a plant called wormwood that is bitter, that although hurts you when you, or is bitter to drink, when you drink it, when you consume it, it actually can act like a medicine that can help remedy you from a lot of things like parasites or some other things too. So there is an actual bitter plant named wormwood. Okay, and I do believe that when the Bible is referring to wormwood, like maybe here or wherever, it is referring to probably this wormwood, the plant wormwood that's bitter, but when you drink it, can serve some good, and they're just basically referring, just a nod to the bitterness of how awful it tastes, that taste in your mouth that you hate and you don't want. Okay. And side note, all the best absinthes use wormwood. The cheap absinthes that don't use the true formula don't use wormwood. But back when I lived in Germany for many years, that was one of the countries that does use wormwood in their absinthe, and I got blazed, so blazed on this green devil many times. doing the Lord's work, consuming that at parties and bars, and just preaching up a storm and talking all sorts of nonsense with, physics and religion and aliens and the universe and life after death and you name it, man. That's how I do the Lord's good work when I'm blitzed. Go figure. I'm Irish. That's how we work. And yeah, Wormwood is, and they do say, absinthe trade is dangerous, addictive, psychotic, and hallucinogenic. And they claim that the actual property, the thing that gives it the hallucinogenic property, is the wormwood. Okay, this is what they claim, and this is why the best absinthes have the wormwood. Don't know how that works in the process of making the alcohol, the distilling, but I'm sure it's known for a reason. I can attest that the absinthe with wormwood is the best. That's the one that gets you lit the most. All right. So wormwood. Wormwood also refers to something much more obvious. Worms that feed on wood. Okay. There's numerous worms that do this. Wormwood is a wood-eating larva of many species of beetle. Also, generic description gives to an infestation of wooden item normally dwelling or the furniture in it by these larvae. Okay, so and here's like all the different species of wormwood, probably more than that, but this could be gets your palate wet on this. And if you look at this, This is what they do. Okay, the worms just munch holes, like bore tunnels, like holes, just piercing through the wood, just wherever they go, and blah blah blah, back around again until their belly's full, and they become a beetle and move on and lay eggs, and their beetle larva eat. It just keeps going and going. It just keeps having the wood is hollowed out like one tunnel at a time, pew 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 pew, until it's infrastructure is so weak and rotten that it has no more integrity. Okay? Now, when the Bible is talking about Revelation's wormwood, I believe this is the wormwood it's talking about. I believe it's actually talking like is a parable, as Jesus loves to do. Always talking in parables. Like 90% of everything he says is a parable, okay? Well, wormwood is a parable of something else, something similar to it, okay? It's not actually worms that are eating through wood that is going to be falling from heaven on the third day after the nukes hit. That's going to contaminate all the fresh waters, okay? But it is something that's going to be comparable in some way to this, all right? What could it be? Well, let's take a gander, right? And just to let you know, termites also, I mean, you can see what they do. They just bore holes through this and gobble it up, and then you have this wood that's just, it's riddled with so many holes that it's dead. The wood dies if it's not dead already, and if it's already there, it doesn't preserve and it rots. It destroys it. That's what these bugs do when they eat food. They're eating it and they're destroying the wood one nibble at a time until you have something like this, or something like this. All right. So what could this be a nod to, a parable for? Well, let's think about it. Okay, put on our thinking caps. So the nukes are going to hit. Putin's nukes are going to hit, okay, in late 2026 is when I think it's going to happen, okay? And I'll make a video about the exact day I think it's going to go down and why that is and everything, okay? But you have, lost my train of thought. You have Putin's nukes. They get launched, right? And they hit and they take out a third of everyone, all right, when they land with fire. And all the ships report and everything, okay? Now, what happens? Now we have all the dirt from the impacts, from the explosions, all the debris, uh, trash, whatever. It all gets vaporized into ash and then blasted and forced up into the atmosphere. And now you have this ash, this dark clouds of dirt and ash just going up into your stratosphere and spreading out all over. And if you have enough nukes going off simultaneously around the planet, what's going to happen is the entire planet is going to have this cloud of ash and dirt and debris that's radioactive, that's going to be spreading all over the planet, okay? But because of gravity, what goes up must come down. So after a couple days of this, the it's probably going to materialize into like rain. All right, you're going to have the ability to have rain, and the rain is going to rain all of this stuff down. All of this radioactive ash and dirt and debris and stuff that's floating in the sky is going to eventually fall and trickle down or come down harder with rain. And I believe that's probably going to happen about 2 or 3 or 4 days after the initial nukes hit. Okay, it's not going to be instant. It's going to be at least a day or two. And the Bible, I think, said on the third day. I don't say a verse right now, but I swear I saw it. Okay, so we have all these radioactive clouds that are raining down all over the earth in the form of water. What's that water going to do? It's going to drain to where water drains to. All right? All of your streams, all of your wells, all of your springs, all of your lakes, even out into the ocean itself. All right? It's gonna eventually do what water does, and that accumulates where the water goes, and that's where the fresh body water is. Okay? It's all fed from like rainwater. Well, I guess some of it is, underground stuff, whatever. But it goes and it gets renewed through the rain. So the rain eventually gets to it. That's how it keeps the cycle going. All right. So you have this contaminated radioactive rain. All right. That's going to be like pouring down. Okay. It's going to be like pouring down. Um, and it's going to contaminate all of the fresh water. Now what happens? Now you're thirsty. You need water to drink. You can't live very long without water. So now you drink the water, and you have radioactive, contaminated water going inside of you, okay? And then you're breathing it. Guess what? You're breathing this air that's got all this radioactive material going all inside your lungs. And if you want to know like what this looks like, let me show you. Okay. I mean, here's just things about acute radiation syndrome. Just you can see how it just like eats through and destroys the tissue. Just like looks kind of familiar, don't that? Don't that look kind of familiar? Huh? Don't that look kind of familiar? Huh? 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 Sure, it's a coincidence. So you have radiation that is radioactive particles, right? And they're breaking apart through fission, and they're releasing high energy alpha particles and beta particles and even gamma particles, which are just pinging, just pew, going right through your tissue, your flesh. And as it does that, it destroys everything it hits until it finally gets stopped with kinetic energy. All right. And this will kill you. I mean, as you can see, if you drink contaminated water, eventually you're going to reach doses of radiation inside of you that are going to be very, very dangerous, if not lethal. All right. And in the Bible, it does say too, a lot of the people that drink the water from Wormwood during the 5 month long nuclear winter, they will pray to die. They will wish they could die, but death will not find them. So even though they're drinking the water, to where it's destroying their insides and they feel it and it's causing them immeasurable pain and suffering, it's not enough to kill them. So they're just withering away in this state of slowly killing themselves with acute radiation, syndrome that's taking a while. Okay. So this is very, very serious. All right. And if you want to know what it looked like, I said I'd show you what it would look like, and I haven't done that yet because I'm being lazy. All right. So here is uranium. Okay. This dude has what's called a cloud chamber. I actually have a cloud chamber. I might do a video on it. Pretty cool, right? You just have like a vacuum chamber with like it chills it, like a chill underneath, and like alcohol. And then you put it on there, and it creates this fine mist of alcohol that's in a state where it almost wants to condense. And as radioactive particles shoot through the mist, it condenses, and then it shows you the streamers of the radioactive particles. All right, this is how we did our work on radioactivity for like the last 100 years. This is how they discovered all the particles with a cloud chamber. I mean, not all of them. Once they got the particle accelerators up and going, they found quite a lot going on that way. But before that, this was the method they used. Okay. And you might be like, well, what does it look like, Sean? Okay, this is what it looks like. All right. That's a bit of uranium. Okay. Now, do you see all these particles? They're just pinging off it like pew, 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 pew in all directions. They only go a few inches, okay? They only go a few inches, which is why the radiation suits are positive pressure, where they have like a barrier that's held up by air with like just thin plastic, whatever. It's meant to be airtight, and then as these particles hit it and they try and shoot through, they get through, but they can't get far enough to actually hit the person inside. Okay, that's how that technology works. Pretty effective if you can do it off. All right, but you see this, all right? Now, this would not be the exact isotope. There would definitely be some uranium. It wouldn't all get burned up, but it would be broken down into other particles too that are radioactive, just like this one. Maybe not quite as much, but they're pretty damn close. All right, they're nasty stuff. And so imagine having tiny particles of this embedded into the cloud that's encompassing the entire planet, and then being rained down upon, trickling. All this is coming down. The rain is in the air. It's floating all around you. You're outside for whatever reason. You need to find food or water. You don't have any, and you're breathing this in. This air is getting into your lungs, and as it's doing this, these little particles are just exploding. Little microparticles everywhere, all around you, destroying your lung tissue from within on every breath you take. And then you drink the water, and it goes into your belly, and it's doing this. It's destroying your belly. It goes through your small intestines, destroying your small intestines. It's just pew, 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 just shooting little holes through it like wormwood. That's what it's doing. It's making your body like this after it gets done shooting all the radioactive material through it. Okay, that's why God calls it wormwood. It's a parable, because we wouldn't have understood the term radiation thousands of years ago. But when God says wormwood is a parable, like, hey, don't drink this water, it's got wormwood in it. This is what he's not saying that it's going to have, this. He's not saying it's got this inside of it. This is actually a medicine if it's in the water. It's going to help you to a certain degree anyways. But this wormwood, the radioactivity, it will just shoot little beams through your flesh, just like worms eating holes through wood. That's why God calls it wormwood. It's radiation. It's God's parable name for radiation for us. so that we can have a clue on what he's talking about. All right. So, and you can see that's pretty intense, right? That's just a little chunk of the uranium, and it's just nonstop, and it will go like this for hundreds of thousands of years, nonstop, just like this, forever and ever and ever and ever with its half life, never stopping. All right, it's going to take millions of years for that whole thing to go totally bunk. All right, so it's very, very real, and it just never stops. And if it's inside of you because you drank it or breathed it or ate it in food, it's going to just constantly do this in your body wherever that material is. It's never going to stop doing that. It's going to keep destroying your body if it's circulating through your arm to your fingertips, you know, because you drank the water. It's going to just keep going, that shooting holes everywhere through your whole body, until your whole body resembles something like this. And you might still be alive. You'd be surprised what humans can survive, at least in the short term. You definitely won't live to be an old man with that kind of damage, but you'd be surprised how durable human flesh can be sometimes. All right. So a lot of people, the Bible says, are going to want to die. They're going to pray and beg to die from God. But he said death will not find them because they did not take a lethal dose, at least in the short term. They only took enough to really, really suffer all the bad parts. And then God says he will restore and renew the earth for the survivors. So he's going to use is the corner, the four winds, the corner of the four winds on the planet. Use that to blow all the radioactivity away somewhere else out in the space away from us, so we can have a planet that's not contaminated with radiation anymore. But does that mean God is going to heal those that have radiation sickness? I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and find out and hope for the best. I hope he does, but that is a tall order. That's asking a lot, even from God. Okay, that's a tall order. So I'm telling you, prepare for this now. Have fresh water and food, 5 months worth at least. This is coming. This is going to happen. The Bible and all religions have been trying to prepare humans for this forced evolution we're going through by God, you know, for thousands of years now. And people just don't want to deal with it. They don't want to believe it. And I get it. Hey, man, I get it. You know, I was anti-Christian for a long time. But, you know, I knew, I always knew there was something more out there. I just didn't believe the way that religion portrayed that thing to be. But God set me straight. He sent me numerous visions. I swear to God, He sent me numerous visions. I've seen so many things. It's taught me so many things about this world and myself and my place in it. And I think He's going to do this for everybody very, very soon. Like in just a year and a half from now, tops. Everybody's going to have some sort of experience like this on one level or another if you survive to see it. So, anyways, I just wanted to go over Wormwood with you guys and explain exactly what it is, because there's a whole lot of confusion. Nobody really seems to be able to put all the puzzle pieces together, but I did. I did it. I told you I was going to do it. I told you I was going to work religion like I worked all of physics, like I figured out gravity and my math for gravity and what all particles are made of and everything. I did it all because I'm crazy like that. That's what I am, bro. I'm a problem solver. I can't help myself. I see a problem, I got to fix it. That's what I do. So, um, next week I might do a video on neutrino oscillations. I was thinking about doing that today, but I thought, nah, let that bake another week. I think I figured out what's going on with that, but I don't know. I'll go into it later. Anyways, you guys have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Adios, muchachos. Bye.
Like, subscribe, submit.